Level 1. It starts with a ripple. A car swerves, a truck's tires skid, and before you know it, you're witnessing a pileup. The streets, once a smooth flow of traffic, become a chaotic mess of twisted metal and broken glass. A chain of events begins with one small mistake, but rapidly escalates into something far worse. One driver slamming their brakes, not enough distance. The car behind doesn't stop in time. Another one swerves to avoid the crash, and just like that, the pileup begins. The kind that stretches across miles of highway. This isn't just an accident, it's a disaster in the making. A domino effect of metal meeting metal. In 2021, a 79-car pileup on I-41 in Wisconsin left 2 dead and more than 70 injured. On New York's I-495, a similar pileup saw 60 vehicles crumpled together in a deadly ballet, a twisted heap of cars, trucks, and buses, each one unable to escape the momentum of the others. Pileups are responsible for 25% of highway fatalities, with chain reactions taking minutes to clear, causing long-lasting disruptions to traffic and lives. These accidents aren't just about what happens in the moment. They create ripples that last for hours, days, sometimes even weeks. The effect isn't just physical damage, it's the psychological trauma of being trapped in the middle of an uncontrollable disaster. Level 2. It's the need for speed. A rush to get from one place to another, to beat the clock, to reach destinations faster. But this craving for speed can turn deadly in the blink of an eye. One moment, you're cruising down the highway, the wind in your hair. The next, you're slammed into a wall, the impact turning everything fuzzy and distorted. It's the power of high speed. The Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, the drivers that push the limits and find themselves in unthinkable disasters. In 2015, a Ferrari on Route 93 in Nevada crashed at 190 miles per hour. The driver died instantly. While high-end sports cars make the news, everyday vehicles do just as much damage at high speeds. In 2016, an SUV going 100 miles per hour on I-45 in Texas crashed, killing the driver and 2 passengers, not because of a mechanical fault, but because of reckless acceleration. At that speed, reaction time doesn't work. You're too fast, too furious. Speeding is a factor in 30% of all highway accidents, leading to more fatalities than any other driving behavior. It's not always about the thrill. Sometimes it's about poor judgment. A lane change at 75 miles per hour, a sudden swerve to avoid a hazard. Speed increases the danger exponentially. The faster you go, the less likely you are to react in time. At high speeds, even the best drivers can't avoid disaster. Speed isn't just about getting there fast, it's about knowing when to slow down and recognizing the road's limits. Level 3. You can't see it coming. Fog, that dense blanket that drapes over everything, turning the world into a blurry mess. Suddenly, everything slows. The road isn't visible. The vehicles ahead are nothing but shadows. The fog of disaster is the hidden killer on highways. In December 2020, I-35W in Texas witnessed one of the most harrowing crashes in modern highway history. Dense fog trapped over 100 vehicles, causing a devastating multi-car pileup. Fog-related accidents result in a 50% higher fatality rate compared to other weather-related crashes. Visibility drops, the road feels endless, and every moment spent in it adds to the danger. On the highway, drivers can't predict what's coming next. One wrong move, one missed signal, and it's too late. Fog doesn't give second chances. In these conditions, even the most careful driver becomes vulnerable. As it thickens, the city vanishes and the road turns into an abyss, forcing you to rely on instincts, not seeing what's ahead, but reacting to what's immediately around you. The fog doesn't only hide the road, it hides the danger. Level 4. Where roads meet, disaster often follows. Intersections, those critical points where multiple roads converge, are the most dangerous spots on any highway. In 2014, the I-95 crash in Philadelphia occurred when 2 trucks collided at an intersection, causing massive fires. The heat was so intense that it melted the asphalt, leaving the highway unusable for days. The intersection trick is deceptively simple. These junctures, crossing lanes, merging vehicles, create opportunities for chaos. At intersections, driver focus can slip, and in that split second of inattention, the consequences become catastrophic. The design flaw at these points lies in poorly planned exits, lack of barriers, and confusing signage. A truck makes a turn too wide, a driver tries to beat the light, and the result is multi-car chaos. Intersections are responsible for 30% of all highway accidents. A slight change in the flow of traffic and everything breaks. It's not always about speed. Sometimes it's about misunderstanding the road, making a dangerous guess at where to go next. Level 5. Some highways are built with flaws, hidden dangers, construction errors, or simply bad planning. In 2018, I-80 in Utah became the scene of a destructive crash when an 18-wheeler lost control and crashed into a bridge support, causing the collapse of the overpass. This wasn't an accident, it was structural failure. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, 20% of highways across the U.S. are structurally deficient, putting lives at risk daily. This simple design flaw, an overlooked stress point, a cracked support beam, can turn the highway into a death trap. In San Francisco, the Bay Bridge collapse in 1989 was a reminder of how vital structural integrity is in highway construction. It wasn't the crash that killed, it was the bridge's failure to hold. In fact, bridge failures are responsible for many of the deadliest highway disasters. Without careful inspection and continuous maintenance, these structures are like ticking time bombs, waiting to give way. What should be a straightforward road to travel turns into a disaster waiting to happen. A flaw in the design, in the materials, in the planning. Level 6. It's a nightmare. You're driving, and the lane you're in just disappears. Lane shifts and road closures are common, but they're not always communicated clearly, leaving drivers to guess where the road will take them. In 2016, a lane shift on I-15 in Arizona caused a pileup when cars swerved to avoid unmarked barriers that had suddenly appeared. This is the vanishing lane trick, a poorly marked lane that vanishes right as you're speeding through it. With no warning, drivers have to either swerve or brake quickly, both of which lead to accidents. A simple marking error, a sign that's out of place, and the whole system falls apart. The most dangerous part of these shifts is the lack of communication. Drivers are left to make decisions with limited information. In Texas, one of the deadliest crashes on I-20 was caused by missing lane markings, leading to a multi-vehicle accident. This is the invisible trick, where the road disappears without warning and the space becomes a battleground. Level 7. It begins with a single brake light, a minor stop, a swerve, and the chain is set in motion. One mistake in judgment and suddenly you're in the middle of a domino effect. What starts as a minor crash escalates into a full-blown disaster. In 2016, on I-70 in Colorado, a simple moment of drowsiness led to a 14-car pileup. One driver fell asleep, and in seconds, the cars behind collided in a series of crushing impacts. The human factor, a lack of sleep, an error in judgment, or even a small distraction. Chain reactions are the result of the lack of space between vehicles. At high speeds, this gap can turn into a deadly danger zone. Rear-end collisions make up 30% of highway accidents, often triggering chain reactions when drivers fail to maintain adequate following distance. The real danger: momentum. The momentum of cars crashing into one another, escalating the situation faster than anyone can react. The chain reaction trick shows how a single moment of hesitation, a brief glance at the phone, a distracted thought, can trigger a series of events that bring devastation to the road. It's not just about speed, it's about being aware of your surroundings. The best drivers keep a safe distance, read the road's flow, and anticipate the unexpected. Level 8. We all know the drill. Check your mirrors, glance over your shoulder, then switch lanes. But blind spots remain. Those invisible zones that hide danger just beyond the reach of your mirrors. In 2020, a tragic accident on IR-95 in Florida happened when a driver tried to change lanes and collided with a motorcycle that was hidden in their blind spot. The rider was thrown from their bike and severely injured. Blind spots are the silent killers on highways, the small areas that are often impossible to see, no matter how carefully you check your mirrors. Blind spot accidents account for 10% of collisions on highways, with motorcyclists being particularly vulnerable. In 2020, a driver in Los Angeles merged into an empty lane only to crash into another car they didn't see. The collision happened at high speed, causing severe damage to both vehicles. The trick here is simple. The vehicle's design, no matter how many mirrors or sensors you have, the blind spot still exists. It's not just about a quick glance. It's about paying extra attention and making sure that the road is clear, not only in front of you, but around you. The best technology today, like blind spot monitoring systems, helps reduce these hazards, but human error still plays a large part. Better systems and more awareness can save lives. Level 9. Suddenly orange cones appear. Traffic slows, the road narrows, and in a split second, you're in a construction zone where the chaos begins. Construction zones are where the road meets uncertainty, narrow lanes, confusing detours, and new barriers that drivers aren't ready for. In 2017, a collision occurred at a construction zone on I-95 in Virginia when a truck hit debris that had been improperly left in the middle of the road. This caused a multi-car pileup and injuries to over a dozen people. Construction zones often create confusion. Road signs get moved, lanes shift, and drivers are left to guess where to go next. In fact, construction zones account for about 15% of all highway accidents, and many are the result of poor signage, abrupt lane shifts, and inconsistent markings. What starts as a simple detour quickly turns into chaos. In California, a poorly marked construction site led to a major accident involving several commercial trucks that collided with each other, blocking multiple lanes. The trick here, it's not the construction workers, it's the road design. Better signage, clearer lane markings, and consistent barriers are needed to make construction zones safer for everyone. Construction zones are not just about fixing roads. They need to be designed in a way that helps traffic move safely while the work is being done. Without this, they become danger zones waiting to explode into disasters. Level 10. At the core of every highway disaster, there's always a human, the driver, the one who makes the decisions, whether conscious or unconscious. In 2020, a driver on I-70 in Colorado fell asleep at the wheel, triggering a multi-vehicle pileup that led to 5 deaths and numerous injuries. Driver error is by far the biggest cause of highway accidents, making up about 94% of incidents. Distractions, texting, eating, or even listening to music pull the driver's attention away from the road. In 2019, a driver on I-45 in Texas was found to be texting when they collided with a truck, killing the truck driver instantly. The human factor is unpredictable. Whether it's distracted driving, fatigue, or even road rage, it's the momentary lapse in focus that often causes devastation. In 2020, a collision on I-95 in Florida was caused by a driver changing lanes without checking their mirrors. They hit a motorcycle in their blind spot, causing the rider to fall into traffic, which led to several more crashes. The trick here is simple: awareness. Focus on the road, not your phone, not your meal, not the music. Better driver education, strict laws on distracted driving, and public awareness campaigns can reduce the risk. Until humans stop being the wild card, highway disasters will continue to happen. The road is full of risks, but none as dangerous as the human element. Want to know more about the hidden causes of highway disasters? Subscribe to stay updated on the real dangers behind the wheels and the urban tricks that make highways safer for all.